Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United in the past had players such as Tevez, Wayne Rooney, Berbatov, we had Nani, we had Cristiano Ronaldo. All these players were fighting for the front positions. And none of them came out and said, okay, Sir Alex Ferguson keeps on playing Wayne Rooney. Why can't I play? I never heard Berbatov complain. I never heard Tevez complain. I never heard Rooney complain. I never heard Ronaldo complain. So this whole complaining that the coach is playing someone else instead of me. So hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Football with Priscilla. I am Priscilla, obviously. So hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not an international break without Manchester United headlines. If it's not Ronaldo coming out with an interview, it's Anthony being accused. If it's not Anthony being accused, it's Jadon Sancho coming out with a tweet about the manager. And if it's not Jadon Sancho coming out with a tweet about the manager, it's Jadon Sancho refusing to apologize to the manager about the tweet that he pinned about the manager. It's always Manchester United. But before we get into the video for today, make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe and turn your notifications on to know when next I post a video. Now listen, with regards to these reports, I feel like we should take them with a pinch of salt because we haven't really heard the story come out of Jadon Sancho's mouth. We're all hearing speculations and reports from people who, have well-known sources about the players, okay? Jadon Sancho feels that Erik Ten Hag has favoritism towards Anthony. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Jadon Sancho feels like he's being treated unfairly, and he says, according to the reports, that with regards to Anthony, even though Anthony makes mistakes, even though Anthony is poor in the game, Anthony doesn't get substituted, Anthony doesn't get dropped. But with regards to Jadon Sancho, if he's poor or he makes mistakes in the game, he will easily get substituted as opposed to Anthony. So ladies and gentlemen, this seems to be like a Jadon Sancho versus Anthony and Erik Ten Hag. Now listen, why I say we should take this story with a pinch of salt is because first of all, we haven't really heard the story out of Jadon Sancho's mouth. We are all hearing reports. Now, don't you think this is going to be like awkward in the dressing room when granted Jadon Sancho is not allowed to the dressing room and stuff, but like, don't you think it's awkward at Carrington when Sancho meets Anthony and they are both eyeing each other? Anthony's like, so you don't like me? And Jadon Sancho is like, yeah, I don't like you. Like, isn't it awkward? But anyway, so let's address this issue. Listen, this is how I feel about this issue, okay? If it's true, right? If this story is true, it's very disappointing. I'm a big Jadon Sancho fan. I was excited when they said Jadon Sancho was coming to Manchester United. I'm pretty sure a lot of us were because of what we saw him do at Dortmund, and we're like, this is what we need. This is the answer to our right wing, right? Jadon Sancho comes to Manchester United and it doesn't go so well as we anticipated and as we expected. The Jadon Sancho that was at Dortmund did not come, unfortunately, to Manchester United, right? And then we have reports of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he had his interview recently, saying that Jadon Sancho said that he would prefer the left wing. Okay, now who plays on the left wing? We have Rashi there, we have Garnacho there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, among us, these three, let's rank them. Let's be honest with ourselves. Rashi, Garnacho, and Sancho. If you had to pick who you would start, who would you start first? Would you start Sancho over Rashi and Garnacho? Or would you start Rashi over Sancho and Garnacho? Or would you start Garnacho over Sancho and Rashford? For me personally, the hierarchy goes, I think we start with Rashford because obviously of his experience in the game. Then when people are tired, we substitute him and put Garnacho. Honestly, I hate to say this, but I feel like Jadon Sancho is my last option because let's just be honest. Rashi, I know for a lot of people, they keep on saying, oh, he's not playing the way he plays, he's not putting so much effort, etc. But Rashi has shown that he does deserve to start on many occasions. Yes, there are occasions when we can question the fact that Erik Ten Hag has started him, but Rashi does bring a lot to the team. With regards to a lot of times when Manchester United play off the break, Rashi always appears to be the most important player. So I feel like Rashford for me would go first. Garnacho, we see what he does when he's a substitute. He's direct and he always changes the game. But now let's go to Jadon Sancho. When Jadon Sancho is playing, let's be honest, there's this lackluster kind of performance with him. Yes, he will show bits and pieces, but like he doesn't really show that intensity, that energetic side. So on the left wing, if Jadon Sancho wants to play there, then he has to be playing better than Garnacho and Rashford. And let's be honest, he hasn't done that. Okay, let's go to the right wing. Who's on the right wing? We have Pelestri there, we have Anthony there, we're about to have Ahmad, I think, there, and we have Jadon Sancho there on the right wing. Now let's do what we did with the left wing, ladies and gentlemen. Who would you start amongst Anthony, Pelestri, Sancho, and Ahmad? Personally, for me, I would go with Anthony first because I feel like Anthony gives us a different kind of dimension when he's playing on the right wing. We can have Rashi there, we can have Bruno there, we can have Mason Mount there, but I feel like for all these three players, Rashi is not comfortable on the right side. Bruno and Mount tend to always come on the middle. Like they tend to be dragged into the middle. They don't stay on the right side. And so when we have Bruno Fernandes there and Mason Mount there, once they're dragged in the middle, the right side, there's no one on the right side. And then you end up having Dalot being alone on the right side and he can't partner up with anybody. We go with Pelestri. Pelestri, who I feel like what lets him down is physical ability. On countless of occasions, he's bullied by a lot of defenders because, you know, the Premier League has very huge and physical defenders. So Pelestri, for me, kind of loses out when it comes to the physicality side. Now we have Jadon Sancho. Ahmad we can't really talk about because we haven't really had time to see Ahmad on the right side. But then we have Jadon Sancho. Now listen. Sancho doesn't even look comfortable on the right wing. Okay, Sancho doesn't look comfortable on the right wing. We literally bought him for the right wing and we rarely see him on the right wing. And even when we see him on the right wing, he doesn't look comfortable. So at this point, what does Jadon Sancho want? Manchester United bought him thinking we're getting a right winger. We're hearing for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that he actually prefers the left wing. So this is a dilemma. He says Anthony is favored on the right wing. And I know a lot of people say, oh no, Anthony is overrated. He doesn't bring a lot to the team. Personally, I don't understand people who say that and I would like people to explain to me why they say that. I feel like Anthony brings in something different. He runs at players. Granted, we know how his shooting style, cut in, shoot, right? Yes, every defender knows that. At this point, every goalkeeper knows that. But he at least takes defenders on. And one thing you can't fault Anthony about is the fact that he does have the energy to track back. You will always find Anthony doing his defensive duties. With regards to all the Manchester United forward players that we have, Anthony has to be number one at defensive duties. Rashford doesn't come back to defend. Garnacho tries his best. Pelestri does work hard. Rasmus Højlund tries, but with regards to the defensive side, you cannot at all fault Anthony. He really does track back. He really does come to defend, and he really helps Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, depending on who's playing on that day, at the back, right? Sancho doesn't do that. Sancho runs half-heartedly. Like, you could see he could take on the defender, but chooses not to. Like, he plays in and within himself. It's rare that we see Sancho taking on defenders and we're like, oh my gosh, he's got pace. We rarely don't see that. So for me, I want to understand where Jadon Sancho is coming from. Maybe he does feel that way, but for me, I don't see it that way. And I'm looking at the Manchester United of old. Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United in the past had players such as Tevez, Wayne Rooney, Berbatov, we had Nani, we had Cristiano Ronaldo. All these players were fighting for the front positions. And none of them came out and said, okay, Sir Alex Ferguson keeps on playing Wayne Rooney. Why can't I play? I never heard Berbatov complain. I never heard Tevez complain. I never heard Rooney complain. I never heard Ronaldo complain. So this whole complaining that the coach is playing someone else instead of me, I feel like at that point, you're supposed to ask yourself, like, am I the problem? So you're telling me Erik Ten just decided, okay, I'm going to favor Anthony. Like, seriously. Then we're going to say the same thing about Rashford, and we're going to say the same thing about Bruno Fernandes. And if we're going to say that Garnacho should stop playing, he should be like, you know what, I'm done, because it looks like Rashford is being feathered. Who else is on the number 10? Eriksen and Mason Mount maybe can make a case and say, listen, we can play on Bruno Fernandes' number, but we're not being played because of favoritism. If that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of players are going to down too. Let's look at the case of Man City. Pep Guardiola. There was literally a time when I don't know where Phil Foden was. Phil Foden was very much fit, but wasn't just being played by Pep Guardiola. Guardiola started using Alvarez. And I was like, what is happening? He literally iced Foden out and brought in Jack Grealish. Where is Jack Grealish today? We don't see him play. Mahrez from Man City. Where was Mahrez? Mahrez used to be iced out. Mahrez was one of Man City's best players, yet he couldn't find a spot on the team. Why did Mahrez come out and start talking about favoritism? Like, there's so many examples, and it's so disappointing that at this level, at this professional level, players can come out and say, I'm not playing because the coach favors so and so. Why can't you play so hard that it's hard for the coach to pick the favorite? I mean, if that's the case, I'm pretty sure 99% of the fan base will be like, yep, that's true. But on Twitter, it's divided, and it looks like 60% of the fan base is just like, Sancho, maybe you are the problem. So for me, it really, this new crop of modern football players, we are hearing so many problems with them. Like, it's always one issue, it's always favoritism. No, he said something about my training. No, he said something about my body. Like, no, the coach did this, the coach did. And I understand there are different crops of players, but you remember the Roy Keanes, you remember Paul Scholes, you remember Vieira, John Terry, Frank Lampard, you remember Steven Gerrard, you remember Jamie Garaga. Like, we never used to hear any of these. Those guys would come to the pitch. If you're not playing, the only time you're given a chance to play, you play the best so that you are in the team the next time. You're not telling me Ferguson didn't have his favorites. Of course he did. But the other people, Jason Park, rarely used to play and he was good. You had to fight for your number. I think that's the point of football and sport itself. You just can't find yourself, and you're just not given a number. You have to work hard for it. So for me, maybe Sancho has a reason to say that, and maybe that reason is justified and it is valid. But in my opinion, and with what I've seen, Anthony, I feel like Anthony gives Manchester United so much more than Sancho. I am not saying Anthony is a better player than Sancho, because we haven't really seen Sancho play at his full ability. Sancho is an amazing player. The Sancho we saw at Dortmund, absolutely amazing. But I feel like that Sancho hasn't arrived at Manchester United, and that's the Sancho that we fans are so desperate to see. And he seems to not be coming to Manchester United. So if Sancho wants to break off this whole favoritism issue with Anthony, why doesn't he just play better than Anthony, to a point where the whole fan base is like, you know what? Sancho has actually had so many assists, he scored so many goals. He needs to be in the team over Anthony. And so far, even without Sancho, I rarely hear people say, oh my gosh, if we had Sancho back in the team, we wouldn't be losing like this. Like, no one even remembers Sancho at this point. I'm not bashing the guy, but I just feel like, listen, he might have a valid reason, but I just feel like it's disappointing. It really is disappointing. Because for some of us who waited for the Jadon Sancho signing, we're absolutely happy with the Jadon Sancho signing. What we're getting, regardless of what people said, I still had hope in Jadon Sancho that we would see a better player every season. And for me to see this, the way it's bowing out, like, it's not, for me, I'm very disappointed. I was having a conversation with my brother earlier about this whole Sancho issue, and I'm like, so Sancho is literally just refusing to say sorry. Like, he could say sorry. He could publicly say sorry, and he could just say sorry to his manager and his teammates, and that's it, and go and play football. Why is he so comfortable with not playing football? Like, shouldn't we be worried? Like, shouldn't he be worried? This is something that you love. This is your passion. This is your talent. This is your gift. You are not playing. And the only way you can get back to playing, to doing something that you claim you love, is to just say sorry. No one's going to open up your heart, look into it, and say, Sancho doesn't mean it. No one cares if you mean it. We just want to hear you say sorry. You know those PR apologies? Oh my God, I didn't do well, blah, 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 blah. And the whole world would be like, see, he just said sorry. And that's it, we move on. But how is Sancho comfortable without playing for Manchester United? I personally am disappointed in Jadon Sancho. I personally am disappointed. Sancho and Anthony are both 23 years old. They've got so much of their career in front of them. So for Sancho to be having a mentality and an attitude like this, like at 23, you're supposed to be fighting, not complaining. I mean, but anyway, that's just me. Those are my thoughts with regards to the Sancho issue, and that's how I feel. But yeah, so for me personally, it's really disappointing if this is true. But I do say, take it with a pinch of salt. We haven't heard the words come from Sancho himself. If it's true, then it's disappointing. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on the Sancho versus Anthony beef. It's it's quite disappointing. But hey, it's never an international break without Manchester United making headlines. So yeah, so that's all I had for you guys today. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and turn your notifications on to know when next I post a video.